Hello and welcome to this edition of Tips and Tricks. Now today I'm going to be talking about flipping a fish profile compared to flipping a crawdad profile. Now most people when they flip a crawdad profile. Whether it's a crawdad like this, or a jig with a crawdad trailer, or a creature bait, or like a sweet beaver, anything like that. Most of what people flip, they're flipping into like deep brush and deep reeds or weeds and all that stuff. Anyway, it might be a bluegill color in that, but the profile in that kind of looks like a crawdad. Has appendages, has all the other stuff. Well, the one thing I found is putting a fish profile in there. It gives them a different look, which you always want. And for some reason, you can flip behind people that are using things that look like a crawdad and catch a lot of fish. And what gives that profile? I mean, you can flip a Senko, but it doesn't really look like a fish. It's more like a worm. What I found is the tube. The tube is designed. I mean, the way it looks and the way it flutters down and everything, it looks like a fish. It's a fish profile. It doesn't have a bunch of appendages like a creature bait, or it doesn't have all the tentacles and the skirt and that like a jig. It looks like a fish coming down in there. And the way you fish it and that it kind of glides through when it's dropping, it looks more like a fish. And I don't see many people flipping tubes. I said, tons of people will flip something that looks like a crawdad or like a beaver style or a jig. They'll flip all that stuff. But a lot of people don't flip tubes. I talk to a lot of people and I go, oh, have you ever tried flipping a tube? And they're like, no, never thought about it. But when I talk to a lot of the pros, they say, oh yeah, I flip tubes a lot. That's because I think they know what I know. And the fact that the tube, when it's going in there, it's a different profile, it's a different look. It's more of a fish look than, with all these things, a crawdad look and a crawdad profile. So if you're in a place that's heavily flipped, I mean, the first time I tried this, I've been thinking about it for a long time. I was at Pinot. I actually put on a white tube in the middle of summer. And most people are like, a white tube, nobody flips white, unless you're sight fishing in spring. I got like 20 fish on it. It's like everywhere I threw that thing into the reeds and let it drop, I had a fish. And I've done lots of shows on it. Might put a couple links. There's one where I did a color challenge and I caught one on 9 different colors during the day, all on tubes. But I'm telling you, it's people always say that when bass fishing, presenting them something that's different, presenting them a different look. Well, pitching or flipping a tube in there compared to flipping everything else that everybody does, like brush hogs and sweet beavers and just craws or just jigs, that's all basically a crawdad profile. You start flipping the tube in there, and those fish might have never seen it. I mean, because most people don't think about it. Throwing a fish profile instead of a crawdad fly when you're going back into thick brush or back into thick weeds or back into thick, whatever you're throwing back into when you're flipping. But give it a try. Flipping a tube, a fish profile instead of a crawdad profile. I hope this helps. Until next time.